hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. So today's message, how do you know you're on the path toward foolishness? You can be a predictor of your own fate, believe it or not, just by the things you say and do. Some individuals forgot about that because they were too busy distracted by what was going on with those young folks, and the young folks this and the young folks that. And then others, they were distracted by the older folks, and the older folks this and the older folks that. And the Lord, he says, it's all foolish. So caught up, so focused on all sorts of things that are foolish, running away from wisdom. Wisdom shows up, boring. Wisdom shows up, this is going to be convicting. Wisdom shows up, you too young to be telling me what to do because I already know, and blah, 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 blah. Wisdom shows up and says, come, sit down, we need to talk. Wisdom shows up and says, exert self-control now, okay? Please keep your hands to yourself, all right? Wisdom is all around, warning us, cautioning us, convicting us, loving on us. Wisdom is something that you do not turn your back on. But how does one who's foolish, but yet they don't know that they're foolish, how do they know that something right around the corner is going to ensnare them, is going to enslave them, is going to hold them captive, is going to spiritually blind them? Well, if any of these things, based on the book of Proverbs, if any of these things describes you, any of your decisions describe you, then you can be your own prophet or prophetess, and you can see what your future is going to look like. So, thinking of one particular relative in my mind as the Lord popped this person up, we'll use the problem as an example. The problem is that this person doesn't have a whole lot of time to dedicate to one's calling, to one's interest, because this one is distracted by all sorts of things going on, but what the calling is, okay? Various decisions that have been made haven't always been the best decisions. So, me being the prophetess, I already know that some of the things that are happening with this individual is not going to be pretty, is not going to be good, okay? Some of you parents, you've seen enough evidence and proof based on the decisions that your children make. Some of you husbands, wives, you've seen this movie before with some of your loved ones, or maybe your co-workers. This is not going to end well, you say. Oh, I'm going to pray for them. And so you pray for them. But yet, the trouble still shows up anyway. It is a teachable moment. It is something that God is going to use to get that person in that thick or their thick skull to finally wake up and go, you know what? I'm just going to finally do the right thing. Yeah, I'm just going to finally do it. You know, how many times do you have to bang your head up against the wall doing the same thing before you stop banging your head up against the wall and you say, you know what, this isn't doing anything but causing my forehead to bleed, and it's swollen and my head hurts. So I know it is really frustrating for so many of you all right now dealing with some people. Some folks have just simply went off the grid because they just couldn't take it. They're out there in nature somewhere and they don't want to be bothered. And Hey, I totally understand. Some folks don't want to be mixed up with any funerals. I am not one of those that is going to give you grief about a funeral. Okay. Prior to my mother's passing, prior to my grandmother's passing, I was not going to be going to those family events like that. And one thing about it, I have for the most part stayed true to a lot of things that I said I wasn't going to do because I meant it. Some places it's just not a good fit for no one, you see, for no one. And some places, hey, they're a good fit for some, but not all. So the foolish does things, and their decisions, the things that they think are the right thing to do, they bring everybody along for the ride. Okay, or they expect everybody to go along for the ride. They don't bother to interview or get to know people. They don't bother to ask questions. They don't bother to understand or be empathetic or sympathetic. It's just, well, I thought this is what you were going to do. Or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And then when they get into trouble, what does the foolish person do? They want you to help. And then you end up saying something like, well, that's why I don't get involved. That's why I don't connect with. That's why I don't spend money or whatever else, right? So somebody's going to be able to predict what is happening here in terms of their decisions and the outcome, right? So how many times have you caught yourself just simply lacking judgment? Okay. I'm in the Life Application Bible by Tyndale. How many times did you just simply say, you know what? I just didn't make the right decision. So 10:21 says, the lips of the righteous nourish many, but fools die for lack of judgment. Okay? They die for lack of judgment. Prematurely left out of here, so many, because they did not judge the situation. That's why I don't like the whole one size fits all, I don't judge stuff. No. There are times in our lives that we better judge. We better judge individuals because you're talking about you want to spend the rest of your life with me. You better judge individuals. You're talking about you're going to do what? You're going to operate on me, right? You see where judgment really comes into play? You're talking about marrying my son. You're talking about working here for this multi-billion-dollar company. You see, so no, that whole don't judge stuff. No, we're judging all day, every day, especially when it is involving our lives. So the fool, though, they don't bother to think about things, plan. A lot of fools are lazy when it comes to thinking deeply, right? Planning, all of it. So here's another indicator that we're dealing with a fool, or you're doing something that is going to lead to, dramas and traumas and all that. You just love foolishness. You're watching it on the television screen. You're going places and you're entertaining fools. You might even have a dude that you ride with and you're like, what's up, fool? I mean, it's just a lot of foolishness, going on. And the fools are just loving it all around. You might even be planning a fool party, okay? And everybody is like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And then next thing you know, folks are drunk and they're fighting and people are stealing stuff and smoking a little bit of this and police are called and people end up in jail. So a lot of fools love to be among the foolish, doing foolish things. Okay? Gullible. Lots of gullible individuals, unfortunately, and they're easily misled, drawn into things, assuming that everything's okay and all right. They're not thinking through situations. That's why many of us got ourselves mixed up with some terrible, terrible lovers, partners, fiancés, because hey, you just wanted to assume certain things. And we know what assuming does. Avoiding the wise, right? You got those individuals that do that sort of thing. They avoid them. They don't like them. You're boring, right? Similar to what I said in the beginning part of this message. Oh, here she come. Here she comes. Shh, be quiet. Because you know she's going to come over here and start talking about God. How you doing? Oh, she ain't talking about God today. Okay. Because I already had it. I already had an excuse. I was going to tell her, oh, I got to go. I got to go to the bathroom. Or, oh, I got to make this phone call or whatever. And the Lord says, I already know. I already know what they're going to say, what they're going to do. And I'm not going to allow you to go over there and waste your breath with that one. Fools feed on anything that is foolish, that is unwise, that is silly, that is stupid. Fools are also known to go through their share of issues, and it's as a result of their foolishness. So then someone who's been offended, or a group that's been offended, that fool is going to receive some punishment for that. Okay? So if you got this long track record of receiving some kind of punishment from someone, and you're saying, why they always getting on my back? Why they always, they always got something to say. I don't understand why I always get myself in these situations. Well, I mean, what are you talking about? What are you saying? You think that you can say whatever to whoever, and then the next thing you know, there's a consequence as a result. The person loses their job over their mouth. Somebody loses their job over where their hands have been. Somebody else loses their job because they can't seem to sit down and stay down and get their work done. They got to roam around and talk with all sorts of foolish people, joking about all sorts of foolishness. And then they'll cry racism. Oh, I'm telling it. So they just, even when the punishment shows up, they don't want to receive it. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that they had something to do with the punishment. And so they're going to tell all the relatives, they don't like us, us, referring to whatever their skin tone is. And meanwhile, just look at the fool, or look at how you've been acting, right? If you feel like lately you've been mixed up with the fools, or getting caught up with foolishness, or you're watching too much media associated with foolishness, you see. And don't underestimate media. Media does impact the way people talk, the way people do things. There are those individuals that I saw over the years, family members who spent a lot of time, and some still do, watching a lot of bumping and thumping and kissing and hugging and coddling. And then they think that they're like the guys that are on them shows, or they think that they're like the girls that are on them shows, and then they get out here in the real world and they think they can do what they see on TV, and the next thing you know, they reap the consequences. See, if I watch enough fools doing foolish things, it can mess with my mind. My mind says, hey, why don't you do whatever you saw? And if I lack self-control, self-discipline, right, discretion, I go out here and I do something and it's not received. Now I'm reaping the consequences for it. Okay. And some of you all, once again, you know that some people are behaving this way, and that's why you can predict that they're not going to keep the marriage. They're not going to keep the job. They're not going to be close to their children, because you see the patterns, right? And of course, fools will have us on this ride of, I'm going to be the next, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And they've got all these dreams and ambitions, but they don't even have the money to even pay for a simple thing like a place to stay or a meal. Okay. So, yeah, they're headed toward their share of destruction. They will blame God. They'll blame the people of God for everything that's wrong with the world, for everything that's wrong with them. Okay. When you hear people that are doing a bunch of that, that's all the more reason why you don't need to be in the presence of people who are going to keep talking in these sorts of ways or doing this sort of stuff that is keeping them in that place of bondage. Because hey, some of these people, they want a friend. They want a friend that they can mellow out with in their bondage. And I don't want to sign up for that. I know some of you all don't want to sign up for that either. These fools, at least the ones that I grew up with, they were very prideful individuals. They were conceited. Okay. Nowadays, many use the word narcissistic. They did not want to receive my grandma's wisdom, her advice. They didn't, at times, learn from past mistakes, so they continue to repeat the mistakes. So much, in fact, that the police officers and the judges knew them by their first and last name. Didn't matter that they had gotten beatings over the years by different people. Yes, some folks really did get beaten, like being punched and kicked and everything, and they got right back up and they just went back to doing foolish things. Lots of arguing went on with these individuals. They were yelling about one thing or another, cussing, fussing, calling people names, irritating people, moving on others in such a way where folks were saying things. When I was a kid, I used to hear them say things like, I don't want to go to jail now. I don't want to go to jail. Okay. Lots of family history where they started off on this path where mom was happy. She had her little boys or little girls or both. And they went through the school system and they had a relatively good life. Every now and again, acted like a fool in the classroom. But hey, nothing really to complain about. Nothing that was so dark and so tragic and messy. But yet, coming out of that type of simplistic lifestyle to go into a complicated lifestyle of crazy and messy and almost losing their lives. That's a fool for you. Okay. So sometimes it takes the hardship, it takes the frustration, it takes the people around them to put so much pressure on them to finally move on them to change. For you, it might be you putting the pressure, the stress, and everything else just so that you can go ahead on and get some things done. To be the one who's no longer on that foolish path. Because those that came before us that were not the fools, God rest their souls, they were not the fools. They were truly blessed individuals. They did not spend a whole lot of time with foolish people. And if they did, they were teachers. I got to say that again. I said this in audio years ago. But the people that were truly successful, they were wise individuals. Okay? They didn't mind receiving correction. Matter of fact, they used the correction to better themselves. They were not after what everybody else was after, which was, oh, I gotta be the best at and be the most richest and the most successful. No, they weren't looking at it from that standpoint. They were looking at, I just want to do what is most beneficial to me or to my family. It wasn't about a bragging match. It wasn't about showing off. These were people who would show up at family holiday events and they were peaceful. They were peacemakers. And they didn't mind telling individuals who wanted to show up with all their foolish talk to shut up and go. Nope, we got kids here. If that's what you're going to do is talk like that, go. You see? They shut it down. They were invited to go to different places where there was alcohol, where there was drugs and all of that, but they declined. They said no to it. You see? Some of them, they were really young when they were saying no to a lot of things. And because they didn't behave in what their friends thought was the typical way of behaving, or what elders thought was a typical way of behaving. Oh, you're young, and you know how young people are, but they chose not to do it. Instead, they walked the straight and narrow path. It made some of the foolish people angry. They got teased, they got bullied, they got disrespected, all of it. And if you find that you're not the one that is giving out the good advice, and matter of fact, people are calling you stupid, dumb, you don't know what you're talking about, you so crazy. And if you find that you're the one who, I can't stand when people talk smart to me, intelligent, wise, spiritual, religious, it turns you off. If you're the kind of person that you don't want to be learning, oh no, I don't want to learn anything. That's not what I want to do. I can't stand reading. I can't stand studying. You're the kind of person that you're quick to go off on people, and you think it's somehow smart and fun and cool and whatever your mindset is about that sort of thing. You're on a foolish path. There's an end for you, and it's not going to be pretty. Okay? It's not. You see? Because fools want to go on paths where the devil says it's fun, it's good for you. You owe it to yourself. And meanwhile, the doctor's like, you don't owe another thing to yourself but some exercising and some, watching your meal intake and everything else, your calories, whatever. And you sitting up here like, no. I want to keep going down this path because I'm not going to deny my flesh anything. My flesh is going to get everything. Okay. And then now you're in a hospital with tubes up your nose and you're wanting somebody to pray for you. You see, it's not just about the young people and that drugs and alcohol and the sleeping with this one and that one that a lot of the elders talked about over the years. Because, I had my stint back in the day, right? And they were telling me, yeah, you just going through something. What I really needed was somebody to say, that's not the life that you want. Trust me. I've been there. I've done it. And had they been transparent, broke it down, and just pretty much got me to a place where I had tears in my eyes. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want that life either. And then gave me an alternative, gave me some solutions, directed my path somewhere else. Maybe things would have been a lot different. But instead, I had a lot of people who were around me that said, oh, yeah, the kids are going to be kids. Girl, you only live once. Enjoy yourself and all that. You're not going to be 20-something forever. And so that's what we did. And then they judged us for it. They talked about us. They said that we were foolish. They said that we were foolish. So if you feel like you're on a foolish path, I need you to take the time to say, Lord, this message, she's talking about me. And I need for you to simply say all of what you've done recently that is contrary to Scripture. That is what we call the confessing of sin. And then, of course, repenting. And if you do that, then what happens is that there is this freedom, if you will, in the spiritual realm. There is a sense of peace. I did something like this years ago. And you're more mindful, you're more cautious of the things that you're saying, the things that you're doing, who you're associating with. You're paying closer attention. You see. Oh, Heavenly Father, I ask that you be with the listener right now who is struggling with all sorts of foolish behavior, foolish conversation, foolish people, foolish media that they continue to watch. I pray in Jesus' name, Lord, that you will order their steps, guide them, move on their spirit to no longer fall by the way of the fool, but instead embrace wisdom. Invite wisdom into their heart, into their minds, into their spirit, and cast away all things that are foolish, unkind, harmful, meaningless, in Jesus' name. And if you said that prayer, God heard it, and you're going to start to see more wisdom around you. And don't run from it. Don't get mad. Don't get all in your feelings. Okay? Trust in the wisdom that you receive. Control your anger. Okay? Spend time reading God's word as well as reading wise things. Watch wise media. Learn a thing or two from a documentary. Learn a thing or two from an action film. Something that is relatable to what is going on nowadays, but has a life lesson of sorts in it, okay? But whatever you do, though, don't be that person that wants to excuse wisdom and embrace foolishness. Don't be that. I did that a long time ago, almost lost my life. I thank you as always for taking time out to listen. You've been listening to YouTube, NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share. And thank you so much for giving. If you want to learn more about me, learn about my experiences, all of that, you can check out my books over there on Amazon. I have Laboring to Love an Abusive Mate, Laboring to Love Myself, Tell Me Mother You're Sorry, Say Goodbye to Dad. These are heavy, heavy books, okay? And when I talk about heavy, we're talking about heavy with a lot of things to think about. You won't be able to just run through those books. You will definitely be taking your time thinking about a lot. Thank you so much once again for listening. Blessings to you.